Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. We continue reading from Imam al-Ghazali's The Jewels of the Quran, Jawahir al-Quran. We ended the last session with the last verses of Surah Al-Nahl, the bees. We have read that, and we have read Surah Al-Isra. We are done with Surah Al-Isra, the Surah of Bani Israel, children of Israel. And the next reading will be from Surah Maryam, alayhi salam, 3 verses only. And one would expect, so between Isra and Maryam, between these two surahs, we have Al-Kahf. And Al-Kahf, we have sound traditions about reading it on Friday. On Friday, it means from the sunset on Thursday until sunset on Friday. You can read it every day if you want, but there is a merit for reading it on Friday. The 3 narrations that I'm aware of indicate that there will be a light between the person who recites this surah and the house, the Kaaba. But that's if it's really the blessing, then the blessing, the barakah could, or the thawab, the reward, as a good deed, then it could take place by reciting any similar. In fact, it could be Al-Isra, it could be Maryam, but subhanallah, the hadith speaks about the Surah Al-Kahf. And I thought, and this is, you can say that this is a personal conjecture, because why Surah Al-Kahf? Then there is some merit, some message, because if you read it every Friday, then there is a message that is repeated every Friday. And while we cannot basically time-wise speak about the messages there, because you need to speak to read the surah, I have been for many years fascinated with the towards the end of Surah Al-Kahf, the story of Dhul Qarnayn. His story is the story of a strong person who it travels east and west, and but the narrative itself, the language itself, it speaks about the Dhul Qarnayn utilizing the cause-effect order. Though for Imam al-Ghazali, he has a unique take on this issue, but on the issue of causality, of course. But the story of Dhul Qarnayn, وَأَتَيْنَاهُ مِنْ كُلِّ شَيْءٍ سَبَبًا فَأَتْبَعَ السَّبَبَ. So at least 4 times this sababiyya, this so he has been granted these the cause effect, the following that kind of norm, which means that he took action. He did not resort to it's not a story of miracles. It was not a prophet, and definitely he had a strong cohort of what might be interpreted as an army. And one example is when he found the people who it seems they're ignorant, illiterate, لا يكادون يفقهون قولا, they cannot even express themselves. That's how primitive they were. he included them. They wanted to build a wall. They wanted him to build a wall between them, a barrier between them and Gog and Magog, Ya'juj and Ma'juj. So he did not tell them, sit aside and watch us, watch my men doing the job. No, he included them in the work. So this is really like a blueprint for action. You basically include everyone when you would like to build something, not only a wall or a barrier, etc. So when you look at the book and you see Surah Al-Isra on the verses, the 9 verses on one side, and you see Surah Maryam alayhi salam on the other side, and only 3 verses, you kind of notice that Surah Al-Kahf is not there. Now, from Surah Maryam, we have these 3 verses. There is none in the heavens and the earth, but he shall come to the All-Gracious as a slave. He has indeed counted them all of them, every one of them, and has numbered them exactly. Every one of them shall come to him singly, individually, on the day of judgment. إن كل من في السماوات والأرض إلا آتي الرحمن عبدا لقد أحصاهم وعدهم عدا وكلهم آتيه يوم القيامة فردا. This surah of Maryam named the only woman to be named in the Quran by name. We have woman characters. Eve is mentioned as the spouse of Adam alayhi salam. Asya, the wife of Pharaoh in the Quran, she is mentioned as without her name, as the spouse of the Pharaoh, asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to build a house for her in paradise. Definitely she endured a lot being the wife of the Pharaoh. We have the wife of Lut alayhi salam, who was destined to she was included in that punishment, in the collective punishment that befell the people of Lot. The story in the biblical narrative is Sodom and Gomorrah, and no, it's not a story of lack of generosity. It's basically about homosexuality and why the wife of Sayyidina Lut alayhi salam was included in the punishment. I think that it's because she approved. She had no problem with the behavior of the people there. And so Maryam alayhi salam is the only woman to be mentioned by name in the Quran. She is chosen twice within one verse. Elevated. She is she ranks highest amongst the women on earth. One might say should leave room for because there is I think the status of Fatima alayhi salam, the daughter of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and wife of Ali bin Abi Talib radiyallahu anhu. But the idea is that here we have someone, but the Maryam alayhi salam, though it's not really these 3 verses, the Jews, Maryam alayhi salam, her story began before she was before she was born. Her mother dedicated that which was in her womb at the time, thinking that she was pregnant with a baby boy. How do we know that that's exactly what went in her mind, because she became apologetic. Uh, when she gave birth to a baby girl, she dedicated that which was in her womb to the service, to the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And she made a supplication that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would protect that which was in her womb. And uh, now the moment of birth, when her mother gave birth to her, uh, she said, فلما وضعتها قالت رب إني وضعتها أنثى وليس الذكر كالأنثى. Now, that's basically her statement. She was reflecting, her mother was reflecting the cultural norm, which is still around the world. I mean, with all this um, uh, radical feminism, and it is still the case that you will find um, bias against women. The Islamic worldview uh, is that both complement each other, both uh, men and women. They complement each other. Each one has a specific role. Uh, and this new thing, women trying to change their sex to become men, is really is not going to reflect good on these young women. I just simply watched an interview. The interview has two different separate parts. In one part, a group of men were asked whether they need women in their life, and they said yes. All of them said yes. Uh, they, of course, the same question was asked to women, a group of the same number, three in each case, and all of these three said absolutely not. They don't need men in their life. This is really it's not really definitely not a healthy situation. So Maryam's mother, alayhi salam, she reflected the cultural norm that distinguishes between male and female. Uh, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepted, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepted Maryam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it possible for Zakaria alayhi salam to take care of her. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protected her, a pure woman. There is no Joseph in Maryam's story in the Quran. There is Joseph, a separate story of Joseph, son of Jacob, Yusuf ibn Yaqub alayhim salam, Yusuf ibn Yaqub ibn Ishaq ibn Ibrahim alayhim salam. But there is no Joseph in her life, and absolutely there is no wrongdoing. Jesus Christ, peace upon him, is the word of God to Mary, and you will find in more than one. You'll find Ruh al Qudus showing up before her, and we have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we have Ruh al Qudus, and we have Isa alayhi salam in one verse, for example. Uh, you can have it in more than one place in the Quran, more than one narrative. In one verse, just a couple of verses uh, before the verse of the throne, Ayat al-Kursi, تلك الرسل فضلنا بعضهم على بعض منهم من كلم الله ورفع بعضهم درجات وآتينا عيسى ابن مريم البينات وأيدناه بروح القدس. So we have here the three, but they are absolutely separate. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is distinct from the creation. Ruh al-Qudus is the archangel Gabriel, Jibreel alayhi salam, and Jesus Christ upon him is the word of God to Mary. And this is why the Quran refers the readers to Adam alayhi salam. He had neither father nor mother. So the story of now we talk about the surah itself of Surah Maryam. There are many things that one can talk about. For example, that when Jesus Christ was born, Maryam alayhi salam, he spoke. The Mufassirun, they say it could be still Gabriel right next to her. No, it's Jesus Christ who's on him because she has to go back. How did she know that he speaks? وأشارت إليه. She pointed to him to respond to her family. He spoke. The moment he was born, he spoke. And he told her that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created a ravine of water right next to her and that she should shake the palm tree and she would have fresh dates. Fresh dates, رطبا جنية. It means that Jesus Christ, peace upon him, was born during that time, which is really, it could be like right now, and it is really beginning of August. As I'm giving this particular session, we already have the beginning of the Rutaban Janiya, the Balah, this kind of tart, sweet, yellowish dates are already in the market, and we do have also the some of these dates are already rutab. So it's August, maybe the beginning of September, but absolutely it cannot be the case that Jesus Christ, peace upon him, was born at the end of December. It is simply adopting the 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 culture at the time. Christianity was really colored by the Greek and the Greek heritage and the Roman culture. In fact, the pagan culture. This is why it's the more or less associated with the winter solace. Um, so the story of Maryam alayhi salam begins with the story of Zakaria alayhi salam, and he asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for when he basically became the caretaker of Maryam alayhi salam. Every time he enters into her presence, he will find that she has food, and we have, of course, more than one story in the Quran. So the beginning is Zakaria alayhi salam asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that he became weak, old, and he asked for a child offspring, to be his heir to inherit Sayyidina Zakaria alayhi salam. And then the narrative shifts to Jesus Christ, peace upon him. These particular, he's also Jesus Christ upon him when he spoke with with her family, with uh, his extended family, the first thing that he said, "Inni Abdullah." This is why we say, "In kullu man fis samawati wal ard illa ati ar-Rahman abda." Whether you accept this ubudiyah, this being the servant, the slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whether you accept and in fact you cherish it, because this Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the at the very beginning of Surah Al-Isra, how was he described? سبحان الذي أسرى بعبده ليلا من المسجد الحرام المسجد الأقصى الذي باركنا حوله. And this is honoring the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was taken in that miraculous journey. بعبده, and that's a status. But there are people who do not want this. They reject Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They reject monotheism in favor of many other things. Some become atheists. Some become agnostic. And that's really, agnosticism is, they cannot confirm whether God exists or does not exist. But this is really something. There's an American old lady, a Jewish academic, who defined herself during her lecture as an agnostic. I'm from a Jewish background. As an agnostic, maybe she wants the audience to know that she is not a Muslim, but she definitely said that Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was saying the truth, that he did receive revelation and he could not have faked it. And she basically based her position on the way he reacted to revelation. It shocked him. So this is, but she said that she's agnostic, but at the same time she says that Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was a prophet and he received revelation. So this agnosticism is I don't know whether one is really, those who claim that they are agnostic, I don't know whether they are really agnostic or not. So people could choose to be, for whatever reason. Is it hedonism? Is it this false notion of being free while they are imitating others and simply they are, it could be lust, it could be whatever. But regardless of what way of life you choose in this one, once you are resurrected, you are going to be you are going to recognize Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but it's too late. If one is destined to hellfire, then that recognition at that moment doesn't really make any difference. In fact, even not in the hereafter, even at the end of this life, if one is does not repent until death becomes imminent, like literally the very last moment when you probably see the angels coming to take your soul. If you still have room to say, I bear witness to the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like the Pharaoh when he saw the body of water, whether it's regardless what sea was it. So when Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam miraculously crossed the sea, and he was followed by the Pharaoh and his soldiers. So Musa alayhi salam and the children of Israel crossed, and then the two mounds of water uh, closed on the Pharaoh and his army. At that moment, for a second, he said, "I believe in what Musa believes." He did not even say, "I believe in God." But that's it. This is not acceptable. It was fear of death. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, of course, He He knows every single one. He created every single one. He has numbered them exactly. Of course, there will be no missing. This is not like human beings making inventory. But even sometimes, even human beings do not make mistakes in doing inventory, but they do. But they do. Or leaving someone out. Like, for example, when you go to a trip or a journey with a group and you keep counting, and there's a possibility of leaving someone behind. And not the case with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who created, who who knows. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows the universals and the particulars, and this is the case of the particulars. إن كل من في السماوات والأرض إلا آتي الرحمن عبدا لقد أحصاهم وعدهم عدا وكلهم آتيه يوم القيامة فردا. On the day of judgment, you will be one-on-one with God. I did hear that if it's further, you cannot basically bring your the people who lived during your time and say, well, all those people did the same thing. All those people, this group of people pushed me to do all these wrong things. This particular person is the one who convinced me to be atheist or whatever. This is the fault of my parents who raised me such and such. It's you are on your own. You are on your own. You would ransom yourself with members of your family. But subhanallah, when that verse is mentioned in the Quran, it's literally people. It's me at that moment. It's a sad story if one was going to neglect his or her duty in this life and only to ransom themselves with members of their family next of kin. And ultimately, no matter how much you are involved and how uh, you are being part of the society and at the service of people, and you meet people, many people every day, and ultimately you have to face the end of this life alone. Your experience is your own experience. It's your own death, and you will be resurrected. You will definitely be resurrected, and you will basically be held accountable for whatever you have done in this life or not doing. Uh, when it's really about the obligations that one ignored, uh, allowing things to happen around the world when you could have stopped it. Leaders, especially, allowing genocides to take place. Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil. The next session, inshallah, will be about Surah Taha, and it has 9 verses. Until then, سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.